Thank you for joining us for From Idea to Implementation, a Ranked Choice Voting and Voting Systems Symposium. Session 7, a presentation by Hart InterCivic about the company's voting system and RCV capabilities, will begin shortly. My name is Chris Hughes, and I'm a staff attorney with FairVote and liaison with the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center. I will be your moderator for this session. A few housekeeping matters are needed before we get started. Participants have been muted for this webinar to reduce audio interference, since we have a large number of attendees. If you have technical issues, please use the question option to send a message to the organizer so we may try to assist. If you have a question or comment regarding the session, please type that message in the question box. Session 7 will be about 20 minutes, followed by a brief question and answer period. Questions we are unable to address during this live session will be answered in a follow-up document, which we will email to attendees and also post with a recording of this session on the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center website within a couple of weeks of the symposium. Now let's welcome Chris Rohde, an intern with the Resource Center in FairVote, to introduce our presenter.
Thank you, Other Chris. For those that are not familiar with the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center, we provide a compilation of best practices and firsthand experiences from jurisdictions that have used this method of voting with a focus on election administration, since that is our background. Our website, www.rankedchoicevoting.org, and the overall project serve as resources for voters, election administrators, policymakers, candidates, and others. The Resource Center continues to evolve, as does Ranked Choice Voting. Both have gone from idea to implementation. As we hope these resources and sessions help you and others improve our democracy and the content of elections. Pam Cardenas, Certification and Product Manager for Hart InterCivic, will share the company's voting system and its capabilities for ranked choice voting. Hart InterCivic is a domestic corporation that provides election equipment and solutions to jurisdictions around the United States. The organization has been active since 1912 and operates out of its headquarters in Austin, Texas. I'll now turn the presentation over to Pam to tell us more about Hart InterCivic and its voting system.
Hello. Hold on. Let me show my screen. Hello. Can everybody see my screen? I guess you can't hear me. Thank you for having me here today to talk about Hart InterCivic Verity voting and how we have incorporated support for ranked choice voting into our voting system. Hart InterCivic, which is located in Austin, Texas, has been in business for over 100 years, most of those in the elections business. Hart has voting technology deployed in 18 states and has supported thousands of elections. Our first generation voting system, the Hart voting system, has been in the field for almost 20 years. In 2015, we released our all-new second generation voting system, Verity Voting. With both voting systems, we support all types of election styles. We support jurisdictions that use traditional paper ballots. We support jurisdictions that use by-mail voting. We support jurisdictions that use DRE or electronic voting. And we support jurisdictions that use a combination of different types of election styles. Today, my focus will be on the Verity voting system. Since it was introduced in 2015, the Verity voting system has been through multiple federal certifications and has been approved for use in 13 states, including Arkansas, Idaho, Kentucky, Michigan, Minnesota, Mississippi, Ohio, Oregon, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Washington. Because we built the Verity voting system from the ground up, we were able to design in the kind of flexibility that you don't get with systems that have been cobbled together over the years. We were also able to leverage our years of field experience with the Hart voting system in order to make educated and thoughtful design decisions. We were able to design software that is intuitive and easy to use throughout all phases of the election process. Essentially, if you know how to run an election, you can easily learn to use the software. And devices that have the same basic design and footprint, even while addressing a large range of needs: paper ballot voting, accessible voting, electronic voting, and on-demand printing. In addition, Verity was designed to support diverse voting methods, including ranked choice voting. Support for ranked choice voting was a design goal for Verity from the very beginning. The entire system was designed to enhance usability, even for less typical practices like ranked choice voting. Our goal in creating Verity was to create an all-new voting system that included election management software for election staff and that also provided the best possible voter experience. Now I'm going to shift gears a bit and talk more specifically about how Verity handles ranked choice voting. When you talk about support for ranked choice voting, there are two main areas to discuss. Vote capture, which of course is how voters interact with the system to indicate their preferences, and vote tabulation, which is how the votes are counted on the back end of the system. In Verity, we chose to focus on vote capture rather than on vote tabulation. Why did we decide to do that? Well, one of the most important priorities when we designed Verity was utilizing good ballot design principles, which we want to keep standardized throughout the system no matter where it's deployed. When you talk about all the components of capturing the voter's preferences, election definition logic, ballot design, and voter user interfaces, you can see that they all lend themselves to standardization. These are aspects of the voting system that can mostly be standardized across jurisdictions and states throughout the country, and can be a part of a federal testing effort that is then parlayed into state testing. When you talk about vote tabulation rules for ranked choice voting, such as vote thresholds and different rules for reallocation, they often vary from jurisdiction to jurisdiction. This means that the system would need to be customized for every jurisdiction. Therefore, we decided to focus on vote capture rather than vote tabulation. The voting system captures the vote rankings and provides tabulation on the first round. For subsequent rounds, the system provides the rankings in XML format that can be used by the jurisdiction to perform these subsequent rounds of tabulation per their own local requirements. Again, to reiterate, the design goals for Verity were, number 1, ease of use for election staff when designing the election. Number 2, ease of use for voters based on thoughtful native designs for paper and electronic ballots. And number 3, adaptability for diverse implementations. We want to avoid making the mistake of locking up diverse tabulation requirements in an overly restrictive implementation that might not accommodate various reporting needs. Verity's capabilities that reflect this approach have been certified by the EAC in 4 releases. So, to boil it down, does the Verity voting system support a jurisdiction's ability to enter a ranked choice contest into the election definition software? Yes. As you'll see in the next slide, it is very simple to designate a contest as a ranked choice contest. Can a voter select rankings in a ranked choice contest? Yes. Both Verity Voting 2.0 and 2.2 support up to 6 rankings. Does the system provide native template-driven paper ballot designs that support ranked choice voting? Yes. Does the electronic interface support ranked choice voting? Yes. The system provides full ranked choice selection functionality and pre-made native templates for electronic ballots. Does Verity's paper ballot scanner support ranked choice voting? Yes. Both the Verity Scan precinct-based digital scanner and Verity Central, the high-speed central scanning solution, can process selections and record cast vote records for ranked choice voting contests that include the voters' selected rankings. Does the DRE voting solution support ranked choice voting? Yes. The Verity Touch DRE provides a full electronic interface to allow voters to make selections and to record the ranked selections as cast vote records. Does the ballot marking device support ranked choice voting? Yes. Verity Touch Writer is an accessible ballot marking device that uses the same electronic ballot design to support ranked choice voting and to generate paper ballots that also utilize best practices in ballot design. And finally, does Verity Voting support built-in tabulation for ranked choice voting? No. As discussed previously, Verity records cast vote records with rankings, and they are easily exported in XML format. As I described in the previous slide, Verity supports the ability for a jurisdiction to easily designate a contest as a ranked choice contest. In Verity Data, which is the election data entry application, the election jurisdiction can simply select ranked choice as the voting logic for the contest in order to trigger the ranked choice voting functionality. This can be done for multiple contests on a ballot. Then, when the ballots are generated, the ranked choice contest appears on the ballot in a grid layout. Candidate names are printed with the ranked option boxes in rows to designate the voter's choice. The box on the left is from the Center for Civic Design's Best Practices for Ranked Choice Voting Ballots and Other Materials publication. As you can see, they said that this design offers the greatest amount of flexibility, is compact, and is easy to understand. Verity's grid layout is designed to follow this design recommendation and provide an intuitive way for voters to mark their selections on paper ballots. The Verity electronic interface in general is based on EAC AIGA's Design for Democracy. There's only one contest on each page, the candidate names are aligned vertically, and all voter instructions are on the left side of the screen. We've also applied another best practice for ranked choice voting in that, after selection, the interface does not reorder the names to display in ranked order. This helps to reduce confusion and disorientation during the voting process. Step 1 in the voting process for electronic ballots is to select a choice by touching that choice on the screen. Once the choice has been selected, the voter will then select the ranking for that choice. As you can see, the interface will not allow the voter to select a ranking that has already been selected. Once the ranking has been selected, the ranking number appears next to the candidate so that the voter can confirm the ranking. As I noted earlier, the list of candidates is not reordered based on ranking. Also note the voter instructions to the left of the interface provide specific instructions on how to use the ranked choice interface. The example to the right is from the Center for Civic Design Best Practices document that I referenced earlier. As you can see, Verity's electronic interface is closely related to the suggested design. Once the voter has made his or her selections, they are recorded onto the Verity device that stores cast vote records. All Verity devices that write and store cast vote records can store all selections for ranked choice contests, including the rankings themselves. The resultant cast vote records were designed for security and transparency. All cast vote records are digitally signed using NIST and VVSG compliant methods for tamper evidence. Additionally, these cast vote records, including the rankings, are easily filterable and exportable from the Verity system in common XML format, which facilitates counting by other software. To summarize, Verity Voting, which is an all-new, modern system that has been through multiple EAC certifications, was designed to support ranked choice voting in a manner that is easy to use and adaptable. Verity's built-in capabilities for ranked choice voting include the ability to enter contests that have ranked choice voting logic applied to them, paper and electronic ballot designs that are consistent with best practices in keeping with the Center for Civic Design principles, and secure and transparent cast vote record storage that provides flexibility and allows the systems to support diverse tabulation rules. Thank you for your time today. What questions can I answer for you?
Thanks so much for that presentation, Pam. So let's move right into that Q&A. Remember to type any of your questions into the question box of the control panel. So I'm going to start with the question we've been asking the two questions we've been asking every vendor. And that's, well, it's two questions. I'll ask them both at once because of the way you all handle the tabulation aspect of ranked choice voting.
Sure.
But so the first is, if you have multiple RCV contests on the ballot, how is tabulation managed in your system? And then can RCV tabulation be used to tabulate vote records from any of your legacy vote systems as well?
Well, the system will handle multiple ranked choice contests in a given election. But yes, as we discussed, the system doesn't provide tabulation past the first round. However, it will record all of those rankings in the cast vote records so that those can be tabulated outside the voting system.
Right, okay. So we have one question from Marty McGrath, who's in Ferndale, Michigan. What is the process to have Verity certified for ranked choice voting if you already have the product and it isn't currently an approved voting method in your state?
That would be something that you would want to get with, you're in Michigan, you want to get with the folks at the state of Michigan, let them know that you're interested in ranked choice voting, and then see what kind of additional testing they would require in order to certify that functionality.
Well, to follow up with that, if the state is requiring certification for the tabulation function as well for ranked choice voting, how will Hart work with a jurisdiction that's interested in getting that tabulation portion certified?
Well, a tabulation portion, again, isn't in the native base core part of the system. If a jurisdiction is looking for Hart to provide tabulation of the subsequent ranked choice voting contests, then that would be done under a separate project and a separate statement of work for that jurisdiction. And then we would, work with the jurisdiction in the state to ensure that any necessary approvals are handled under the scope of that statement of work.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
And as a plug for the Ranked Choice Voting Resource Center, we have the Universal RCV Tabulator, which will be designed to take in data from any voting system and to tabulate a ranked choice voting election according to the rules in a given jurisdiction. So hopefully there's a way we can sort of work together on that as well.
And that's the point of the, that's the whole point of having the XML export of the cast vote records that includes the rankings, is that if a jurisdiction chooses to, to create their own or use some other form of tabulation, we do have that data available in export so that they can work with it in that manner.
Great. So another question, how does Verity ranked choice voting handle write-ins and overvotes?
If you have a write-in, then you would just rank that write-in just like you would any other candidate. You would select the write-in, and that would give the ranking then. If there is an overvote, then of course with the electronic interface, it won't allow you to overvote. But then with the paper interface, if it's an overvote, then just like any other overvote, that contest choices wouldn't count.
Yeah, well, so does the machine give voters a warning if they've overvoted or if they've skipped rankings that they can use in the paper system?
Well, in the paper system, the machine will give you a warning of an overvote if it's configured that way by the jurisdiction, just like it would for any contest. And then it would really depend on if the machine was configured for undervotes, if you've skipped something or not. If they have configured the machine to kick out undervotes, either for all contests or for that specific contest, then you could get a warning in that manner.
And just so I'm clear,
any device.
Yeah, when you say undervote, do you mean both skipping an entire contest and skipping individual ranks within a ranked choice voting contest?
To be honest, I would have to check on that, the individual ranks part of it, definitely with the undervote itself. Okay,
great. And how do you handle a mixed ballot with some RCV races and some non-RCV races?
The system just handles that by default. As if you might recall, I showed the screenshot of how a contest is flagged as a ranked choice contest. You can have a mixture of contests that are ranked choice and contests that are not within the same ballot. And there's nothing special you need to do besides make sure that you have the correct voting option selected.
Right. And so does that mean your ballots can have ranked choice voting and non-ranked choice voting on the same side of the ballot, or will it automatically be split up between the sides of the ballot?
No, you can have them all on the same side of the ballot. That's fine.
Okay. So I know there's been a lot of discussion recently about the common data format and what that means going forward for voting system vendors. Has Hart looked into the common data format at all? And how are you approaching that?
I know that is something that we are looking into on the development side. To be honest, I'm not sure and can provide you some more information at a later time on where we might be headed with the common data format. But as for right now, we have been focusing on making sure that all of the information coming out of our system is exportable in different formats. So that they can, a jurisdiction can take those, such as CSV, XML, that sort of thing, so that a jurisdiction can take that data and turn that into a format that is workable with any other systems that they may have in the office.
Right. So it defaults to exporting in XML, but can export in others?
The cast vote records export in XML. Of course, you can also look at those in a PDF report or even print them if you want to. All of the election reports are also exportable in a multitude of other formats.
Okay, got it. And how did you all decide to do 6 rankings in your RCV system?
That was done through, basic research of, what is the most common, what are the most common configurations and what is a common limit? What would be a generally a common limit or a safe limit for the number of rankings in a contest?
Okay. And is anyone currently using Hart's ranked choice voting software for their ranked choice voting elections?
Not as it's currently designed, no.
Okay, got it. So I'm actually not seeing any more questions. If anyone has more, oh, I did just see one more. How did Hart decide to list candidate names on the right side of the ballot and vote targets on the left side of the ballot?
That has been that's something that's consistent with the rest of our system, and it has to do with the geometry of the templates. It's a template-driven system,
Okay.
and that's how we chose to do that. That is actually standard throughout the system.
Got it. So I just got a couple more questions too from Gene Massey in Minnesota. First, what is the specific way the export function works to provide the cast vote record in your machine?
Oh, sure. In our tabulation software, it's actually pretty simple. We have a whole export and audit dashboard functionality, and all you have to do is select which of the cast vote records you're looking for, because it's a filterable interface, and it's all done in the user interface. And then you can select that subgroup or select them all, and then you choose, basically hit the export button, and then you choose and then it just will automatically export to CSV file at that point. Alternately, if you want to view the report with the individual cast vote records, you can choose print report, and then that'll bring it up in the PDF format.
Got it. And is there a specific programming setup you need to allow for mixed ballot, or is it you just choose the number of, you just set up your elections and they'll be automatically placed on the ballot?
Correct. There's no specific configuration you need to be eligible to be able to use the ranked choice voting functionality. It really is just as you enter your contests into the data entry program, then you enter those contests, and then you just select the type of voting methodology, and ranked choice is one of those options.
Mm-hmm. And do you have any estimate of how much it might cost a jurisdiction to create tabulation software?
I don't at this time. I mean, it would depend on their requirements, and if a jurisdiction is interested in doing that, they would reach out to us, and then we would more thoroughly research the requirements with them so that we could scope the work appropriately.
Got it. And one more. So I know Ramsey County, which is where St. Paul, Minnesota is located, is one of your customers. Is that what drove you all to implement or put RCV into your software?
Well, not necessarily. We definitely do want to have that available for our customer in Ramsey County, and that's important to us. But it's also a functionality that we see elsewhere in the country, and we feel like it's an important feature to include in the system so that it can be used by others as well.
Great. And if you're not comfortable answering this, I'm curious, have you had conversations with any jurisdictions that are interested in your RCV software?
I would have to defer that to our sales team probably.
Okay.
I know every once in a while I speak with people at conferences and in other situations, and there's some interest, but as far as genuine interest, I'm not quite sure.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think with that, unless there's any last questions people wanted to get in before we sign off, I will wrap up. Thanks so much to Pam and Hart InterCivic for joining us for session 7 of the symposium. We'll work with Hart to provide answers to any of the questions we didn't get to during the session, or to expand on some of the answers that Pam gave. That document will be posted along with our recording of this session in the coming weeks on our website, www.rankedchoicevoting.org. Please join us at 1:30 p.m. Eastern Time this afternoon, when Election Systems and Software will share information about their voting system and RCV capabilities. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you.